जनरञ्जना जय व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना जय व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवरचारी जय कुंज बिहारी यमुनातीरवरचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे राधा कृष्ण चंद्र श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा सुभद्रा माई जय सुदर्शना गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय श्रील प्रभुपाद हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नाम संकीर्तन की मज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं Hare Krishna. So welcome all devotees for the Sunday morning Bhagavatam class. So today we are discussing the very important section on departure of Lord Krishna. So this is a very special type of a pastime because in this entire chapter, all the chapter mentions the departure of Lord Krishna. The title is this. Entire chapter doesn't talk anything about it. Rather, it is like a trailer for what is about to come. Now, generally, if we see in this world, whenever people talk about departure of someone, those who are closely connected to that person, that personality, they never want to talk about it or they get emotional when they mention it. But other people who are not connected to that person, when they talk about it, they're very casual about it. For example, say departure of Mahatma Gandhi or departure of some recently one football player, Maradona or someone, he left his body. When news is presenting it, they are just presenting it monotonously. So today, the world champion on football, Maradona left his body. But when his family members are asked to speak, they become emotional because they have a relationship with him. So similarly, this particular pastime of departure of Lord Krishna is painful for all the devotees. As much as appearance of Lord Krishna is close to the heart of devotees. That's why we see that in this particular beginning of first canto itself, there is no direct mention of how Krishna is going to depart. This departure of Lord Krishna is very mysterious pastime, and this comes in the 11th canto. So before we go to this particular chapter, I would like to take you to the places in Bhagavatam. I hope all are able to see the screen. So let's go to that section of Bhagavatam which talks about departure of Lord Krishna. Now, generally in this world when people die, people's bodies and the soul are different. That's very important. So people have soul, on that there is a subtle body, and on that there is a gross body. What is death? The soul along with subtle body goes to another gross body. That is death. Now when it comes to Krishna, example given in scriptures is that the understanding is that Krishna's body and soul, there is no difference. Like for example, say you have a doll which is made up of wood. Okay, at the center, at the heart region of the doll, you take a small cube of sugar and keep it there. This is like our situation. Our body is material, but soul is spiritual. But in case of Krishna, entire doll is made up of sugar. There is no difference between soul and body. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions there are some foolish people. They say that when Krishna says Sarvadharman Parityaja, you are not supposed to surrender to Krishna, but the unborn within Krishna. So they feel Krishna, as we know, is actually a material body, but the Brahman within Krishna, that is actually what we are supposed to surrender to, which is actually a misconception. Whereas in scriptures, if you see this particular verse here, we'll go to a couple of verses before we directly go to the chapter. This verse talks about what exactly happens when Krishna departs. So just like you have sun, in this, say for example, in the morning, the sun rose today at about 6:30 or maybe 4 o'clock. Simultaneously, some other part of the world, the sun set. So it is the same sun, sets in one place and gets up or rises in another place. For our naked eye, it looks as if the sun is drowning in ocean. Especially if you are near a coastal area, it looks as if the sun is about to drown and the sun drowned. And next day morning, the sun again got up from the water. But the reality is the sun is setting in one place and rising simultaneously in the other place. So when Krishna departs, he actually is preparing either to go back to his abode or to some other universe where there is a requirement for performing his pastimes. So this verse here, this is first canto, third chapter, text number 43. So there are some important verses here which I would request you to note down, especially the one after this. Because you may come across people, because generally people feel that Krishna also died, we also died, so why should we worship Krishna? We'll discuss about that. So here the shloka says, Krishne Swadhamu Pagate Dharma Jnana Divisa Kalo Nashtadrisham Esha Puranarko Ngunoditaha. This Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as sun, and it is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Puran. So this basically, this verse is, if you can read this purport, it will be very nice. Please read it in your leisure. But the essence of the purport is the same as I told you, the rising and setting of the sun. So what is basically this verse talking about? Now Krishna is gone back to his abode. Along with him, all the virtuous qualities also went. Just like when the sun sets, along with the sun, the light is gone and the heat also is gone. It becomes cold. So in such situation, when Krishna is not there, along with Krishna, religion and all virtuous qualities have gone, what will the people of Kali Yuga do? And that's where Bhagavatam is introduced. So Bhagavatam is like that sun, which is like the literary incarnation of Krishna, which has the same qualities of Krishna. So this is one verse. Now, what exactly happened when Krishna left his? How did Krishna leave? How can such an important personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how did he orchestrate his pastime of leaving the planet? Appearing the planet, most of us know. He was born in the jail of Kamsa. But how did he actually orchestrate his departure? For that, we have to go to 11th canto. I'm sorry. 11th canto, 31st chapter, text number 6. Lokabhiravam sotanum dharana dhyana mangalam yoga dharana yagyeya tattva dhamma vishatsvakam. Without employing the mystic Agni meditation to burn up his transcendental body, which is all attractive resting place for all the worlds and object of all contemplation and meditation, Lord Krishna entered his own abode. So here basically what happens, those who are dhyana yogis, those who have performed karma yoga, have reached Nishkam, they began with Sakam karma yoga, they then went to the next stage of Nishkam karma yoga, have come to the stage of gaining transcendental knowledge. They, some of them, can choose to culminate their life through Ashtanga Yoga. So they go to the forest. 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about it. They go to the forest and they perform severe austerities. And when the right time comes, they burn their body, not physically, but through meditation. They burn their body, just like Dhritarashtra left his body. Last week, you might have heard about it. So they leave their body and go to wherever they wish to. Either they can go to spiritual world, they can go to another planet, they can go to Brahma Jyoti, wherever they choose to go. So Krishna did not leave his body in that fashion because his body is not material. So how can something which is not material be burnt? That is the idea. And further, one more verse, 12th verse. Yes, this is the one. Martyena yoguru sutam yamalokanitam dvamchanayat charanada paramastra dagdam jignena takakam apishan ash anisha kim swavaneswar anayam mragayum sadeham. Lord Krishna brought the son of his guru back from the planet of Lord of Death in the boy's self-same body. And as the ultimate giver of protection, he saved you also when you were burned by Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. This is Shukadeva Goswami telling Parishit Maharaj. He conquered in the battle even Lord Shiva, who deals death to the agents of death. And he sent the hunter Jara directly to Vaikuntha in his human body. How could such a personality be unable to protect his own self? If you see the previous chapter, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and these good persons, Vidura, they quit the palace and go to forest. When Yudhishthira Maharaj discovers this, he becomes heartbroken. And he says that I have to go and get them back. Then Narada Muni comes and tells, how can you are not yourself clear about, and this is generally living entities, we ourselves are not clear whether we can survive, save ourselves from death or not. And how can such a person save others from death? If my hands are bound, I cannot release or liberate other persons from binding. But here in case of Krishna, he was able to get back. This is 11th canto, 31st chapter, text number 12. We are discussing this because in the main chapter of discussion today, there is no mention of how exactly Krishna departed. So this is a small snippet, what exactly happened. So Krishna brought his Guru's son back from death. He was able to defeat Lord Shiva, and he was able to save Parishit Maharaj from Brahmastra. How foolish it is to think for common people that Krishna also died like any other person. And a couple of more verses I would like to show, then we'll go for the chapter. Yeah, so this is how exactly the pastime happened. So we know, we have heard that once the whole battle of Kurukshetra was over, Krishna had wiped out most of the envious personalities on the planet. And now, with this all pastimes done, he wanted to wind up and go out of the material world. Very interesting for us to note that Krishna has come to this material world for a purpose. The purpose is over, he leaves this place. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would say, material world is no place for a gentleman. One more place he says that material world is like bathroom. Finish your work and get out. Don't waste time. So Lord Krishna, whose purpose was Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyutanam Dharmasya Tadatmanam Srajamyaham, he came, performed, ended, and he left. So this is a very important, Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is a very important message for all the conditioned souls. So Lord came to perform pastime and went. So we should not unnecessarily do time pass in this material world. I'm just paraphrasing it. Don't do time pass here. Quickly follow the Lord and go back. And that's what Pandavas did. The next chapter we'll discuss what the Pandavas did the moment they heard Krishna departed to boat. So what exactly happened? So there was a situation where Krishna was lying down in the forest, and then a hunter came there. Just then a hunter named Jara, who had approached the palace, mistook the Lord's foot for a deer's face. Sorry, approached the place. Mistook the Lord's foot for a deer's face. Thinking he had found his prey, Jara pierced the foot with his arrow, which he had fashioned from remaining iron fragments of Samba's claw. So basically, this Jara was a hunter who came and pierced the toe of the Lord. And that actually Lord took as an opportunity to leave the planet. So this looks a little strange. So generally, if our toe is hurt, unless there is a poison in the arrow or whatever, but the Lord's body is transcendental. So just because a knife or arrow falls on our toe, person doesn't die. So there are people, there are so-called materialistic scholars who say that Krishna had diabetes. So because Krishna had diabetes, one arrow pierced his feet and blood flew off, and then there was no control and Krishna died. These kind of foolish explanations are given. But if you read the purport, so I request you to please note down these verses 11, 30, 33, and the last one 11, 6, 35. Here the Lord says, yeah, if you see this purport 11, 6, 35, it's a long purport written by disciples of Prabhupada by consulting the writings of the Acharyas. This Jara, who shot arrow at the Lord's lotus feet, was actually Bhrigu Muni. The same Bhrigu Muni who, in order to test who is supreme, went and disrespected Brahma, went and used bad words or harsh words towards Shiva, and kicked the lotus chest of Lord Vishnu. So because he had done that act, he was actually converted into a hunter, low-born hunter. And the Lord did not want to see his devotee in that situation. So the Lord made that Jara come to this place. When Jara saw that because of his arrow, by mistake he had shot Lord Krishna, he became extremely repentant, and then he went back to God. And from then, after that, the Lord left this abode and Lord left this material world and went back to his abode. This was the pastime. Now, this pastime purposefully is so complex. Why? Because Lord wanted, for those atheistic people who want to say that Krishna is also an ordinary person, Krishna gave them a reason. Yes, I got shot, I got wounded, I died. You are happy? Okay, now continue your materialistic business. For devotees or those who are intelligent, those are little shrewd, the Lord performed the pastime, and if you go a little bit analysis, you realize this is just a drama. The Lord is not dying. He is doing this drama to fool the materialistic people. This pastime is over. Parallelly, what is happening? Let's go to today's section. Hold on. I just share the screen. So this is today's chapter, disappearance of Lord Krishna. So what are the contents? First of all, Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Krishna has left the planet, and here Yudhishthir Maharaj is suspecting that Krishna might have left the planet. Why? Because he's seeing a lot of bad omens. Bad omens means apashakun. He's seeing everywhere. We'll discuss what are all those. Then Arjun comes. A lot of questions are asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj to Arjun, and finally Arjun is extremely morose and he's not able to answer any question of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Then finally Yudhishthir Maharaj says, "He is your dear friend, left the planet." That's where the climax of this entire chapter comes to. So here Arjun doesn't speak anything. He's just silent, and the whole talking is done by Yudhishthir Maharaj. So let's proceed to the chapter. So there are multiple sections here. One thing about this chapter is it is very small. If you see, the purports are very short. Most of the verses here are discussing about the different bad signs which Yudhishthir Maharaj is seeing, indicating the departure of Lord Krishna. So let's go to verses first. Then eventually we'll come back to this purport. I hope this background was helpful. Devotees can have written down or noted down in case someone asks you about the departure of Lord Krishna. That background was necessary to understand, to do justice to this particular chapter. So now let us go into the chapter. Sutta Uvacha Sampratishte Dwarakayam Jishno Bandhu Dridikshaya Jnatum cha Punya Shlokasya Krishnasya cha Vicheshtikam. Shri Sutta Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna, and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. So after the whole battle of Kurukshetra was over, now things were normal. Yudhishthira was made the king, Pandavas were ruling the planet, all the other kings had submitted themselves as subordinate to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Majority of the demons were killed. Now Arjuna had gone to visit his friend Krishna. Vyatita katichinmasas tadanayat tatorjunah tadarshas ghora rupani nimittani kurudvaha. A few months passed and Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhishthir then began to observe some inauspicious omens which were fearful in themselves. Now, before we proceed, something very important. The chapter previous to this, the Dhritarashtra quits home. Vidura makes entry into the palace, who had gone for pilgrimage, refusing to fight in the battle. In course of his pilgrimage, at the end of it, he realized that he met Uddhava, who told him that Krishna has departed. Now, Vidura was extremely hurt, and of course, it's a blissful pleasure. We discussed about it in the previous sessions. So, Vidura was really pained that Krishna has gone back. And now Vidura comes back to Hastinapur and realizes in Hastinapur, no one is aware of this. Pandavas don't know that Krishna has already left. But he doesn't reveal this news to them. So this is very important as devotees for us to know that there may be some things in our life, which may, in the life of people or in society as such, which may have happened, some negative things. So negative news will spread anyway. So we don't have to be the instrument of causing negativity in people's lives. So Vidura doesn't share the news. He knew news will come anyway. Such a big news, it will come. But he didn't want to witness the misery which Pandavas will undergo. Similarly, there may have some devotee might have done something wrong or some issue might have happened. So we don't have to take out our WhatsApp and Telegram and Twitter and spread the bad news. So bad news will spread anyway. So we don't have to be instrument of such a negative thing. So now Yudhishthira Maharaj starts seeing the omens. What are the omens? Kalasya cha gatim raudram viparyatrau dharminah papiyasim nrinam varta krodalobarna tarananam. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. Most of the things which they mention here now are actually symptoms of Kali Yuga. So climate change is predicted 5,000 years ago. There are disruptions in seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful. and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. So all the scams that you see now, 3G scam, 4G scam, and Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, Vijay Mallya, all this actually begun after Yudhishthira, after the leaving of Krishna. So Prabhupada is going to discuss something very deep here, which I'll show you in this particular PPT. It will be much easier. Yeah. So 2 to 4. Yudhishthira experienced fearful, inauspicious omens. What were they? In the purport, Prabhupada says, if Krishna is present, there is knowledge, realization, peace, prosperity, and everything else. So it is like sun. When sun is there, you get to see things as they are. When sun is there, like if you see, people have fear of walking on the street in the night time. Like one of our devotees, he was in Bombay. So it was Bombay even today, at least maybe COVID has reduced it, but otherwise it's a very jam-packed area. So trains are jam-packed, buses are jam-packed. So this devotee was well educated. So he told our brahmacharis in ISKCON Bombay that Prabhuji, I want to leave Bombay. It's too congested and night time, so I put chutney in bus and train. I'll go to some other place. So he shifted his job. He went to London. And when he went to London, night 8 o'clock, he's sitting in a bus. The entire bus is empty. And he was feeling as if he's in heavenly planet. And he was thinking, if I was in India, I would have been chutney in bus. But then he saw in the bus there is a small camera at the top. So he asked the driver, there was no conductor, there was a driver, he asked the driver, why is this camera here? So the driver said that, you see, in London, after sunset, it is very unsafe. And most buses are actually empty. So many times, because less people are there in the bus, the hoodlums, the gundas, they come in, beat up people, and sometimes kill also, and go away. So in case you are killed, this camera will help us to locate those gundas. And he got a shock of his life. He thought, at least I would have lived, at least I would be alive in Bombay, the crushing buses. But here the danger is even more. And that's not only in London, in any other part of the world, even in Bangalore for that matter. After 9, 10 o'clock, it is very risky to go outside. Why? Because negative elements will be roaming about, the bad people. But in the daytime, because it is bright, sun is there and people are very active, so there is more safety. So similarly, if Krishna is there in the life of a person, then there is all kind of happiness. But if Krishna is not there, then there is a tremendous amount of stress and anxieties in life. Like we have shown example here. We have this example of husband and wife who got married, and we have trust in people, we have surrender. So all good qualities are naturally there. Plus, devotees are following 4 regulative principles. That saves a lot of Lakshmi. Like one devotee was telling me that Kali Yuga is a very strange age where you have to pay and go to hell. Because illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling is expensive. You pay money, you work hard, you pay money, and then go to hell suffering the reactions for it. But if you're a devotee, by default, like when I was wanting to join ISKCON temple for my training in Brahmacharya Ashram. So I worked for about 2.5 years, and after that, whatever Lakshmi I collected, I kept it as security for my family, and I joined. So my relatives asked, so how much money has he kept? They said 5 lakhs. So my package CTC was 4.5 lakhs per year with all the tax and everything. So my relatives were shocked. Has this guy not kept anything for himself? Everything he has, how could he save 5 lakhs in 2 years? Why? Because you're following 4 regulative principles, you're not going to movie, tea, coffee, restaurant, everything is saved. All Lakshmi is saved. And that is not the goal of practicing regulative principles, it's a byproduct. So all those things which people are running for comes as a byproduct for a devotee. If we see, the world is running behind peace, world peace, world peace, world peace. But if you are actually following Krishna consciousness, peace becomes a byproduct. As Bhagavad Gita says, Bhuktaram Yegyatapasam, Sarvalokam Haishwaram, Suradam Sarvabhutanam, Yatavamam, Shantim Vichit. So this is one side. On the other side, if Krishna is not there in people's life, then naturally, if there is no sun, there is darkness. One person asked Prabhupada. He said that, is there ghost? What is this concept of ghost? Does this evil ghost also come from Krishna? Prabhupada said, if you're looking at the sun, the direction of the sun, you see light. If you're putting your back to the sun, if you're turning away from the sun, then you see your own dark shadow. So similarly, if people look towards Krishna, look towards God, there will be positivity. But the moment people turn away from God, there will be a lot of difficulties and challenges which people have to face. That is this particular, as this we read in the translation, greed. Just share, go back. Yeah. So greed, anger, deceit, all these qualities started coming out, and people were using foul means for earning livelihood. They were using questionable ways of earning money. Next verse. Jimma prayam vyavahartam satya mishram cha sauradam pitramatra surat pratra dampatniyam cha kalkanam. So now that was about how people earn money. Here, all ordinary transactions and dealing became polluted with cheating, even between friends. And in familial affairs, there was always misunderstanding between father, mother, sons, between well-wishers and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there is always strain and quarrel. So this, I think, is pretty prevalent even today. Like misunderstanding between father and sons, brothers. It has gone all the way to high court also. Many of the in India it is famous. The Ambani family who went all the way to court to settle their disputes. So similarly, in every house there will be some kind of quarrel and dissatisfaction if there is no Krishna. Why? Prabhupada gives example. You have a stone, say 10 stones you have. You're in a pond. It's a clear lake, clear water. Everything is like, nothing is moving. It is very pristine. You throw these 10 stones at the same point in the lake, back to back. What happens? A huge ripple is formed. But if you take these 10 stones and 10 different places on the lake, multiple ripples are formed and then there will be clash. And then there will be disturbance in the water. So similarly, if husband, wife, father, mother, son, or whoever number of people are there in the family, all of their goal is the same, to purify the heart and go back to God. Then naturally quarrel will be reduced, if not completely gone. Still we are in the 3 modes, but the amount of quarrel will be very less. But if all these members are wanting their own selfishness, there will be definitely quarrel in the family, and that's what is being told here. So errors, insanity, these are 4 defects. Errors, that is mistake, insanity, illusion, inability, imperfect senses, and cheating propensity. These signs of imperfections out of the 4, propensity of cheating others is the most prominent. So Prabhupada is especially talking about the principle of cheating here, because a person, when he feels, I have to be happy even at the cost of others, then all the problems starts happening. And that's what we are receiving in the world also, in this world. And these things were observed 5,000 years ago. So it began at that time. And then, I'm sorry. Yeah. Next verse. So now next few verses, Yudhishthira Maharaj will speak to Bhima. Nimittani ataristani kalitvanugate nanam labdaya adharma prakriti drashto vacha anujam nrapaha. In course of time, it came to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. Maharaj Yudhishthir, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother. So now what does he speak? Yudhishthira uvacha Sampreshito dvarakayam jishturbandhu didikshaya jnatum cha punyashlokasya krishnasya cha vicheshtitam. Maharaj Yudhishthir said to his younger brother Bhimasen, I sent Arjun to Dwarka to meet his friend and to learn from the personality of Godhead Krishna his program of work. Gata saptaduna masa Bhimasena tavajuna tavanuja nayati kasya vahetur naham vededam anjasa. Since he departed, 7 months have passed, yet he has not returned. I do not know factually how things are going there. अपि देवर्षिनादिष्ट स कालोऽयम् उपस्थितः यदात्मनो गम अक्रीडम भगवान उत्सिस्कृति. Is he going to quit his earthly pastime as Devarshinarada indicated? Has that time already arrived? So here you see, it's very interesting that although he's not very clear what is wrong, but within the heart he was able to understand that maybe the Lord is ending his pastimes. यस्मान्न संपदो राज्यम दारा प्राणा कुलम प्रजा आसन संपत्तया विजयो लोकश्च यद अनुग्रहात्. The coming verses are very important. This shows the heart of a devotee even if he has conquered the whole world. Yudhishthira Maharaj right now is the king of the whole planet, and look at the consciousness he has. From him only, that is Krishna, all our kingly opulence, good wives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodations in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to his causeless mercy upon us. Prabhupada writes in the purport, first line, material prosperity consists of a good wife, good home, sufficient land, good children, aristocratic family relations, victory over competitors, and by pious work, attainment of accommodation in the higher celestial planets for better facilities of material amenities. This is the meaning of artha. When we talk about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, generally we convert artha means money, artha shastra or artha vyavastha as we say in Hindi. But artha doesn't mean money. Artha means wholesome life. What is the point if a person has, say, all the money in the world, but he gets paralysis, or he's in coma for 30 years, or he's in ICU struggling for life? So artha not only means money, artha also means good wealth also, ayu also. Similarly, family, children, as Chanakya Pandit says, putram heenam graham shunyam. Just 1 minute. Hare Krishna. So Chanakya Pandit says, putram heenam graham shunyam. So if there are no children in the house, only husband and wife are living, because of some reason they are not able to produce children, then that house looks like a void, a dreary void. Because when there are a lot of children in the house, then from one perspective, yes, from a perspective of a sannyasi or from a written sheet, it may look like a lot of bondage, lot of anxiety to take care of children and everything. But from a Vedic perspective, from a wholesome perspective, it's a good sign to see a lot of children are playing, and it's a very sweet experience for the parents. So good children, good progeny, not only just living in this life, but also making sure that the next life is secure by performing of pious work. That is for karma kandis or those who follow traditional varnashram. For devotees, chanting Hare Krishna itself is, for Krishna consciousness itself is sufficient. So one important thing here, Prabhupada talks, we keep switching because there is a PPT here. Yeah, we discussed this. Material prosperity by Lord's mercy only. So which means there are a lot of people. Recently, one person asked me, Prabhuji, Bhagavad Gita says, Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, second chapter says that. So does it mean I should give my salary, give up my salary? Should I not work for salary? Because Karmanyevadikaraste. So first thing you have to understand, this Karmanyevadikaraste is not a justification for irresponsibility. I am doing my work. I don't care how the results come. For a devotee, results are important because result is what you will be offering to Krishna. So if you're cooking, those of who are good cooks, you'll know, while cooking, you have to be extra careful, especially some items are so sensitive, 2 minutes extra heating will burn the whole thing, especially like sweet items. So when you're cooking something, you're offering it to Krishna. So what is your consciousness? It should be best possible quality. Same is true for all other activities. When we say Karmanyevadikaraste, what is the main idea here? I am not the doer, but I am not the doer, yes, but I am not the only doer. Which means I will do my part, but a substantial portion is there which I have to depend on the Lord. Then that will equal to success. Otherwise, there will be failure. Like a farmer, his part is to plow the field and put the seeds. But rain is not in his hands. That is the meaning of karmanyavarika. Similarly, all the material prosperity which a person gets in his life is because of his good karma, past life or this life, plus the mercy of the Lord. If the Lord's mercy is not there, then that activity will be a failure, catastrophic failure. And if the Lord's mercy is there, you take example of Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Chaitanya Charitamrita is considered a classic in understanding Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. It was written by whom? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami at the 90 plus age, and he writes in the book, I am not able to see, my hands are shaking, I am not able to hear, I have no clue how I am writing this book. Right? So this is one example of how a devotee totally depends upon the Lord to perform this particular service. So whatever prosperity we get, our Vaman Dev, he mentions in Bali Maharaj pastime, he mentions that if a person has a tremendous amount of opulences, but still is not proud, that means he has got my special mercy. So there are different type of mercy. One type of mercy is where the Lord gives success to devotee. Special mercy is success is there, but he is not proud. And the highest level of mercy is the Lord takes away everything from the devotee. We might have heard about this. Yasyaham manugranami harishye tattanam. When I say so special mercy to someone, and I take away everything from that person. Of course, many devotees get scared. No, bro, special mercy, I'm not qualified. I'm okay with mercy only. So anyway, Krishna decides, we are not to decide. So that is about this. So even when we have good health, if we have good health, if we are counting blessings in our life, definitely the way the world works or our mind works is that even if there are 100 things which you feel, if these 100 things are there, I will be happy. If 99 things work out, if one thing doesn't work out, our mind fully focuses on that one thing. And we forget that 99 things have happened, and thanks to Krishna for that. So when we count blessings like this, when we are grateful to Krishna like this, then we can actually be happy even with meager facilities in life. And when we don't do it, or when people live recklessly, and the reaction comes, which is orchestrated by the material nature under the supervision of the Lord, then we blame God. Once someone asked, why do God make war? When World War II had happened, a lot of people died. So one person came and asked Prabhupada, why did God create war? Or why did God not save so many people from dying? Prabhupada said that when you were declaring war, you never came to ask God, should we fight this war or not? And now when you're facing the consequences of your action, this particular war, you're coming and asking, why did God kill so many people? So that's why this concept of why bad things happen to good people, or this concept of why there is evil in this world. The evil is there because we have evil tendencies. And if we, even at individual level, if you work to the point that you follow the dharma, then at least you will be saved. Like COVID is there. So many people got affected, finances. I personally don't know a single devotee who lost his job because of COVID. Rather, he got to stay in home. Some devotees are staying in temple. One devotee is like brahmachari only. He's in temple working from home or working from ashram, we call him. He's in temple staying from past 1 year. Staying in temple, morning program, 3 times prasad. He's getting salary also. So at an individual level, if we are following from externally also, internally also, then we don't have to worry about the external situations. And what's happening with the people? Devotees will go back to God anyway, but then non-devotees have to go through birth, old age, disease, and death. And Bhagavad Gita explains about it. I'll just skip this. This is a little. Hold on, I'll just mentioned all of this. Yes. Now coming to Yudhishthir Maharaj's list of bad omens, 11 to 20. Let's go to that. Okay. Purvakshi bahavo mahyam spurantanga punarpunah vepatushchapi hridaye aradhashyanti vipriyam. The left side of my body, my thighs, arms and eyes are all quivering again and again. I am having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. So next, about 9 verses, Yudhishthira Maharaj is going to speak about a list of omens. Apashakti. Now, many people may say that this is all superstitious and you don't have to worry about all this. It's all dumb. But actually, these are like warning signs. Like you have your mobile phone, which actually, like I was recently doing a Prabhupada dresses cleaning in the temple, the ashram. So we have a semi-automatic washing machine. So I was really surprised to see to what extent these things have gone ahead. So you just click some buttons, automatically it starts washing with 23 minutes timer. So I put the clothes for washing, and I was ironing Prabhupada's clothes, the dried ones. After maybe 10 minutes, there was some sound from the machine. I went to see. That is an indicator that halfway through it is done, now half remaining. So this is an indicator given to me by the machine that the work is in progress. And when the full 23 minutes got over, it was screaming. So I went and then I switched it off. So similarly, in our life also, sometimes when some good or bad happenings is to come, some signs will be there in our body. So like as it's mentioned here, for men, it is left side of the body, it's considered neck bad, left eye or left shoulder or left thighs. For women, it is the right side. And apart from that, the list is given here. Just see, O Bhima, how she jackals cries at the rising of the sun and vomits fire. Now the dog barks at me fearlessly. O Bhima, tiger among men. Now useful animals like cows are passing on my left side, and lower animals like asses are circumambulating me. My horses appear to weep upon seeing me. Just see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and their rivals' crow make my heart tremble. It appears that they want to make a void of the whole universe. Just see how the smoke encircles the sky. It appears that earth and mountains are throbbing. Just hear the cloudless thunder and see the bolts from the blue. The wind blows violently, blasting dust everywhere and creating darkness. Clouds are raining everywhere with bloody disaster. The rays of the sun are declining and the stars appear to be fighting among themselves. Confused living entities appear to play ablaze and weeping. Rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs, and mines are all perturbed. Butter no longer ignites fire. What is this extraordinary time? What is going to happen? The calves do not suck the teats of the cows, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing, crying, tears in their eyes, and bulls take no pleasure in pasture grounds. The deities seem to be crying in the temple, lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. All the cities, village, towns, garden, mine, hermitage are now devoid of beauty and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are now awaiting us. So why is Yudhishthira Maharaj saying this? Yudhishthira Maharaj's entire life, or for that matter Pandava's entire life, is calamity after calamity after calamity since birth. And after the battle of Kurukshetra, they got a little sigh of relief for some time. And suddenly now, you see, he's seeing these kind of bad omens. So now he's considering what more is about to come. That is his thought process. I think all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. I discussed the last time. Actually, Earth was the most fortunate personality, the Earth personified, during Krishna's pastime, because sometimes Krishna was in Dwarka, so Hastinapur Vasis and Vrindavan Vasis would be in pain. When Krishna was in Vrindavan, or when Krishna was in Hastinapur, Dwarka Vasis are in pain. Or when Krishna is in some other place, these two personalities are in pain. But Mother Earth was always happy, because wherever he is on Earth only. So she was the most fortunate one. And now it seems that Krishna's footprints will not be found on the earth. O Brahmana Shaunaka, while Maharaj Yudhishthira observed the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time, he was thus thinking to himself, Arjuna came back from the city of Yadus. Just share the PPT. Yeah. So all these bad omens were seen. Okay, so now we have to understand something interesting here. Even in ISKCON temples, there have been instances where something very bad things happened. Like ISKCON Mayapur was there, where the shooting happened, some Muslims or something attacked the temple, and one of our devotees was hit in the leg, and a lot of things happened. So this is a negative thing that has happened within ISKCON temple, that inside the temple. So later they found out that there was some wrongdoings within the temple. So this whole incident was like the demonstration of displeasure of the Lord. Similarly, sometimes what kind of displeasure? Like sometimes it will happen that while worshipping deities, someone may be careless, offerings may not be of good quality, or some person did not take care to put tulsi, or basically carelessness. Deity worship is all about cleanliness and punctuality. When these three things are messed up with, then the Lord will be displeased, because it is not a stone there standing on the altar. It is actually a person. It is actually Krishna. And Krishna shows his displeasure by certain negativities. So what should a devotee's duty be? A devotee should be alert. When he sees that some negative things have happened, immediately he should check, is there something wrong that we are doing here? Is there some mistake that is happening from our side? That is one. Second thing that immediately we have to, what these negativity should make us, is to run towards Krishna. So while ordinary people try to set things right by going to astrologers and getting this ring, this mala, that mala, devotees can simply take feedback with full faith, chant rings. Whenever this kind of negativities come, like Ambarish Maharaj did, he took shelter. Prahlad Maharaj, there was no sign of negativity, he was being killed only. But all time, he took shelter of Vishnu. So two things are there here. First is, whenever some negative things happening around us, or especially in spiritual life, we can see. I remember one devotee. I was talking to him long back, 4 or 5 years back. So in course of our talking, I saw that there is a bandage in his hand. So I asked what happened. He said, I was driving bike and I collapsed. I had an accident. I said, I was really sorry. I was really empathizing with him. And he said, no, bro. Actually, that particular day, from a couple of days, my consciousness was very, very bad. I was really having a lot of negative thought process. So this is like a reminder from Krishna to rectify my consciousness. I said, wonderful. This is a perfection of getting wounded. That if someone can become serious in spiritual life and rectify their consciousness, so it was worth the pain. That's what he was sharing. So bad omens were shown in the absence of Krishna. Now Arjuna enters. Now three things happen here. Arjuna enters. The moment Arjuna enters, his face, Yudhishthira Maharaj goes and shoots a lot of questions at him. How is Krishna? We'll discuss about that. How is Krishna? How is Pradyumna, Aniruddha? How are the queens? And he's silent. And then he starts asking, why are you morose? And he gives him a list of 10 items which are possible reasons why Arjuna was morose. So let us go one by one. Tampadayurnipatitam ayata purvamaturam adovadanam abindu sajantam nayanat bhujjayo. When he bowed at his feet, that is Arjun, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. Arjun's negativity or moroseness was unprecedented, which means even in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where he was crying Ashur Purana Kulekshanam, Bhagavad Gita says, that was also nothing compared to his face now. His head was down, tears glided from his lotus eyes. See, this is something very important and interesting. For a Kshatriya to cry is extreme situation. Because Kshatriya is, if you see Bhagavad Gita, there is mention of quality of Kshatriya. Yuddhe Chape Palayana. He does not run away from the battlefield. He is natural for him to attack and fight and everything. For such a person, that too Arjuna was best among them, the topper among all the Kshatriyas. And once he cried in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, again he is crying now. So which means it is some serious matter. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Vilokyodvigna Radayo Vichayam Anujam Nrapaha Prachyati Sma Suran Madhye Samsmaran Naraderitam. Seeing Arjuna pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narada, questioned him in the midst of friends. So, see, this is something which all of us have experienced. We know that this is surely that has happened, but we are in denial. We don't want to think about it. We ask some beating around the bush, as they call it, this, that, and everything. And finally, we come to the main substance. That is this what's wrong. Similarly, Yudhishthira Maharaj immediately understood. Most probably, Krishna has gone back to his abode, but he's in denial. He feels no, that may not be the reason. Let me see if there is any other reason. And now he asks him, Yudhishthira Uvacha, Kachit Anartha Punyamna Swajana Sukamasate Madhu Boja Dashahara Satvatandaka Vishnayah. Maharaj Yudhishthira said. So, as I told you before, this is a very long chapter with respect to the number of verses, but purports are not there or very small purports. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, my dear brother, please tell me whether our friends, relatives such as Madhu, Boja, Dashara, Araha, Satwata, Andaka, and the members of Yadu family are all passing their days in happiness. So he's asking how are all the different, because these were the families which were tortured, exiled, and living in forests and caves when Kamsa was in power. He's asking about how are these personalities. Shuro Matmana Kachit Swat Aste Vatammarishah Matula Sanuja Kachit Kushal Anakadundubihi. He is my respectable grandfather Shurasena in a happy mood, and are my maternal uncle Vasudev and his younger brothers all doing well. Saptaswasarasa Patnyo Matulana Sama Sahatmajaha Asate Sasura Sasnusha Kshema Devaki Pramukaswayam. His 7 wives, that is Vasudev's 7 wives, headed by Devaki, are all sisters. Are they and their sons and daughters-in-law all happy? Kachit Raja Huko Jivat Asat Putrosya Chanujah Radika Sashito Kruro Jayanta Gadasharanaha Asate Kushalam Kachit Yecha Shatrujit Adayah Kachit Aste Sukam Ramo Bhagavan Satvatam Prabhu. Our Ugrasena, whose son was mischievous Kamsa, and his younger brother still living, that is Ugrasena and his younger brother, are they still living? Are Radhika and his son Ratavarma happy? Are Akrura, Jayanta, Gada, Sharana and Satrujit all happy? How is Balaram, the personality of Godhead and the protector of the devotees? So Balaram, this actually means, Bala means strength, Ram means pleasure. So Prabhupada says that in spiritual life, physical strength doesn't matter so much. A person may be physically weak or strong, but what matters is the spiritual strength. And the source of the spiritual strength is Balaram. And that same Balaram has come as Nityananda, whose Trayodashi we just celebrated a couple of, I think, last month. Pradyumna Sarva Vrishnina Sukam Aste Maharata Kambira Rayo Nriddho Vardate Bhagavantuta. How is Pradyumna, the great general of Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Aniruddha, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well? These are like children and grandchildren of Lord Sri Krishna. Shushenascha Rudenascha Sambo Jambavati Sutah Anyecha Karshni Pravara Saputra Rashabadaya. Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Shusena, Charudeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, Rishabha, all along with their sons doing well? Tatevang Chara Saure Sutadevodavadaya Sunandananda Srishnasya Shirshanya Chet Yechanye Satvatarshavaha Piswast Asate Sarve Ramakrishna Bujashraya Api Smaranti Kushalam Asmakam Baddha Sauradaha. Also, Shrutadeva, Uddhava and others, Nanda, Sunanda, and other leaders of liberated souls who are constant companions of the Lord are protected by the Lord Balaram and Krishna. Are they all doing well in their respective function? Do they, who are eternally bound in friendship with us, remember our welfare? So this is like when you love someone and care for someone, you also are concerned that they are also remembering you. It's a reciprocal relationship. It cannot be called a selfish expectation, but it is natural. It's natural that if you care for someone, you want to know whether he also cares for you or remembers you. So that's what has been asked here. Bhagavan api govindo brahmanyo bhakta vatsalah kachit pure suraddamya sukam aste suradvrataha. He is Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now finally asked about Krishna, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the brahmanas, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at the Dwarkapuri surrounded by friends. So Krishna is the heart of Dwarka. So he is asking Krishna, who gives pleasure to cows, senses, and brahmanas, which means Govinda. Go means three things: either cow, land, and senses. Similarly, here Brahman is also mentioned. Namo Brahmane Devaya, Go Brahmane Chaya. So are they faring well? Mangalaaya cha lokanam kshemaya cha bhavaya cha aste yadu kulambodha adyoranta sukauguman yadbhav danda guptayam swapunyam vidavorchitaha kridanti paramanandam mahapaurushika iva. The original personality of Godhead, enjoyer, the Balaram, the primeval Lord Ananta, are staying in the ocean of Yadu dynasty for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire universe. Which means this Krishna and Balaram were not ordinary kings who wanted to do time pass in this material world and have fun and die. They actually were there to take care of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. So because Yadu dynasty is protected by Krishna and Balaram, they are the strongest family, the strongest dynasty in the entire creation. And that was one of the reasons why the Maushalya Leela happened. Maushalya Leela, where all the Yadu dynasty people kill each other. That pastime had happened because they had become extremely strong. And Lord Krishna was concerned that once he leaves the planet, if these personalities go crazy in the madness of separation from Krishna, they will destroy the entire creation because they were extremely strong and powerful. Yatpadashushrushana muktya karmana satyadayodvasta sahasrayoshitah nirjitya sanketrika samstadashisho haranti vrajayudat vallabhochitah. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is most important of all services, the queens at Dwarka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of the thunderbolts. Thunderbolts controller is Indra. So, this sloka is referring to the Parijata flower past, where Krishna went all the way from Narakasura, all the way to give Aditi's kundal, the earrings. And there, Indra is very happy, he is grateful, he receives the kundal and is extremely gracious. And then Satyabhama says that I want that Parijata flower. So, Parijata tree actually, because Narada had given Parijata flower to Rukmini. So, Satyabhama was in a transcendental competition, told Krishna, I want the entire tree only, I don't want your flower. So, Krishna goes and uproots the tree. And this fellow, Indra, who a few minutes back was so grateful to Krishna, starts revolting. He says, you cannot take this. This plant belongs on heavenly planet. You cannot take it to earth. He is commanding to Krishna. And Krishna, taking the side of Satyabhama, fights with him and defeats him. That's what's mentioned here. Induce the Lord to conquer the demigods. Yadbahudanda Yudaya Nuja Jivino Yadu Praviraya Kutobayamu Adikramantyangrivir Arhatam Balat Sabham Sudharmam Surasattamochitam. The great heroes of Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Shri Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect. And therefore their feet trample over Sudharma assembly house, which the best demigod deserves, but which was taken away from them. So because Krishna was there in Dwarka, all the Yadus, they felt he should be given the best. So if there is a parliament in Dwarka, it has to be best in the whole world, in the whole creation. That's why the best parliament is of the parliament in the heavenly planets called Sudharma assembly house. So they remove it from there and bring it to Dwarka. And what is the speciality of Sudharma assembly house? The moment you enter into this assembly, you will never get old, you will never sweat, your body will not stink, you will not feel hungry or thirsty. The moment you are inside this assembly house. And that assembly house, which was a property of heaven, was brought down forcefully so that they wanted to please the Supreme Lord Krishna. Kachittena mattata brashtateja vibhasime alabdamana vijnataha kim vatata chiroshitaha. My dear brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. So these many questions he asked, Arjuna is silent. Now he is wondering what's wrong with Arjuna. Is your health all right? You appear to have lost your bodily luster, tejas. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka? So, so as they say, familiarity leads to contempt. So similarly here, even in the material world, we'll see after a certain point, if you're a guest in someone's house, then that leads to inconvenience. So and that people bring out that inconvenience in a form of some harsh words. So because he was there for 7 months, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking Arjuna, did they mistreat you or something? Although they are not like that, but did you feel that they were not happy that you were staying for such a long period of time? So like this, Yudhishthira asks, okay, let's go back to the presentation. These are the different glories. This is Hastinapur, 16,000, the Samyantika jewel pastime. Here Krishna marrying the queens, and this is 16,000 queens. Now, next 4 verses, Yudhishthira Maharaj is going to ask, what are the 10 questions which he asks? Are this the reason for your dissatisfaction? So, not only in the life of Arjun, even in our life, if these 10 things are not in order, then probably that will be the reason for our inconvenience or dissatisfaction in our life. So let us see what are they. First, he asks, please tell me whether your health is all right. Like if sometimes our mind is not, if our body is not well, then mind also is disturbed. Like if you're feverish, you cannot chant very well because mind is in a distressed situation. Then he says, is this due to other disrespecting and neglecting you? Like although we are devotees and we understand the principle of manina manadina kirtaniya sadahari, still just like food, we devotees understand that we are not this body, we're spirit soul. But we need some food to keep body and soul together. Of course, we eat a lot more than body and soul together. But we need something to keep body and soul together. It is not wrong. It's not wrong to eat delicious prasadam offered to Krishna. So similarly, for the mind, there is some amount of emotional requirements. Some appreciation, some care, some amount of acknowledgement, empathy. These things actually make the mind also healthy. But if these things are not there, then mind becomes dissatisfied. So just like we say, you take a fish out of water, give all facilities, but the fish wants water only. Similarly, you may have wonderful facilities, good food, but if someone mistreats you or you get some bad news, then we'll be dissatisfied. Like say, for example, you are extremely hungry. So you fasted for Ekadashi. Now the Pandu Nizil Ekadashi will come next month, a couple of months later. So you are fasting, or our Gaur Purnima is there. You are fasting whole day without water. You are extremely hungry. As you sit for sitting taking prasad, one devotee comes with a big plate of prasad and halwa, puri, pulao, kadi, rasam, everything is there. He gives you the plate and says, eat. You pick, and he goes away. Can we eat in satisfaction? No, that harsh words actually doesn't allow the mind to be peaceful. So did other disrespect or neglect you? Then he says, has someone addressed you with unfriendly words? Some harsh words, like Bhagavad Gita says, Sambhavitasya chakirtir maranaltirichat. Someone who's been given respect, disrespect is worse than death. So has someone spoken harsh words to you? That is one. Were you not able to give charity you promised to? Which means sometimes you may commit something, but then we are not able to do it. Like suppose you are told to give class, but then you fell sick, or some service was there, you wanted to do duty worship, or some service in temple, but then you have to cancel it in the last minute. So you feel some dissatisfaction. So similarly here, he's saying you wanted to give some charity because charity is one of the aspect of king. So did you, because they give charity to Brahmanas. So did you back off from opportunity to charity? Could you not give protection to the deserving living beings? So generally we see that there are 5 personalities or 5 aspects in a society that needs protection. Brahmana, cow, children, old people, and women. So these 5 people, they are weaklings of society. They are not supposed to be exploited or looked down upon, but they are supposed to be given protection. And Kshatriya's job itself is protection. Kshatriya, Kshatratrayate iti Kshatriya. One who saves the praja from harm. He is Kshatriya. So we are not able to give protection. That's why you are morose. Have you contacted a woman with impeachable character? Means have you come across someone who's of cheap care, like prostitute? Now, why someone will become morose if someone comes in this prostitute? Because Arjuna is a pious person. Arjuna is so pious, when he was taken to a different realm in heaven, when he went there, where the laws, the strict laws of this earth doesn't hold true. Even there, he was not ready to break his character. Urvashi came to him and told she wanted to enjoy him. But he said, no, you are actually my ancestor's wife. At least you have begot children. Puru is the personality. Pururava. So how can I actually look you from that perspective? So if a person is very pious, when he comes across low character people, then there will be some amount of dissatisfaction. Also, if a person has good reputation, there are situations where there can be conspiracies against him. Like suppose there is a saintly person or some great soul, and suppose he's staying in some room. If some prostitute or low class woman goes there, then people start talking. Oh, maybe this person is of low character. So that naturally spoils the reputation of the person, and actually that's what Ramchandra Khan wanted to do in Haridas. And that's where, interestingly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was 60 years of age, refused to talk personally to a 16-year-old girl who's his granddaughter's age. She said, I want to talk something personal to you, which I don't even want to tell to husband. So Bhaktisiddhanta said, I'm sorry, then I'm not qualified to hear it. She didn't want to spend time personally because of this principle. Have you not properly treated a deserving woman? So this is another extreme. So there was a woman who deserved your respect, who deserved to be treated well, but have you not treated her properly? Is that the reason you're dissatisfied? Have you been defeated by someone inferior or equal to you? So this is again Sambhavitasya Chakirti Maranadati. For a Kshatriya, defeated by superior is considered to be glorious. It is not something, even if you see Prabhupada was actually playing the role of a Desh Premi, nationalist. He was following Gandhi before he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. After meeting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, from Desh Prem, he became a follower of Krishna Prem. So Prabhupada very happily and very proudly, he says, I was defeated by my spiritual master. So generally in this world, people don't want to acknowledge defeat or even speak about it. But Prabhupada was so happy because in our parampara, in the spiritual circles, when superiors defeat, we become very happy and very joyful because we are their servants. But when equals or juniors, especially for a Kshatriya, that is like an insult. So he was asking, is this the reason you are not happy? Have you failed to take care of old men and boys? As I told you, 5 weaklings, old men, and even children. So where they taken away from. Have you committed some unpardonable mistake? So there may be some mistakes which can be pardoned, and as a Kshatriya, there may be some mistakes which may be very gruesome. So have you committed that kind of a, like in 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, Guru Namcha Lagu Namcha. For small sins, there are small reactions. For severe sins, there are severe reactions. So if you see these 10 things, actually speaking, some of those things have already happened. Like what has happened? Krishna has departed. That is main reason. When Krishna departs or goes back to his abode, his queens have to be protected. So Krishna was bringing all those queens from Dwarka to Hastinapur. But on the way, some people come and defeat him. I'll not go into detail of the pastime because that will spoil the suspense for the next chapter. So he's defeated by them. So he could not, if you see here the context mentioned here, he could not properly treat deserving women. He was defeated by inferior men or equal to him. So some of the things did happen. But that is not the reason why he's morose. You will see in the next chapter, although Arjuna says, I am morose, yes. But he never says these are the reasons he's morose. Why is he morose? That is because of the next verse. Maharaj Yudhishthir finally directly asked about the disappearance of the Lord. Or is it that you are feeling empty for all time because you might have lost your most intimate friend, Lord Krishna? This is like the bomb. The beating around the bush was over, straight to the point. He asked him. So we have to understand here actually. We know this pastime of Narada, boy Narada. You might have already gone through it. It's in the 4th, 5th chapter, where Narada loses his mother, his small boy. He goes to forest, through mines, forest, cities, and everything. Finally, he reaches a forest under a huge banyan tree in a lake. He washes his face, sits for meditation, and for a split second, he gets darshan of Vishnu, and it goes off. And he's so disturbed and he's so perturbed. Now, if you see, although Vishnu and Krishna are the same, Krishna is even more beautiful than Vishnu. There are four additional qualities of Krishna. Venu Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, Rup Madhuri. So these are the four extra qualities of Krishna. So just seeing Vishnu for a split second and feeling not able to see anymore, Narada was completely disturbed. What to speak of Arjun, who was living with Krishna for 125 years. You see, 125 is the age when Kurukshetra battle happened, Krishna's age, from the calculation point of view. So for so long, not only just stayed, joked with him, embraced him, pulled his leg as a friend, made fun of him, got made fun by him. So with such intimate dealings are there, the separation is much more difficult to handle. So in the next chapter, he is going to share all these things. Plus, he will share also how he overcame his misery. And there is a beautiful purport of 3 pages long. So long purport, extremely beautiful. I will not spoil the next class for you. You can come next week, or maybe you can read Bhagavatam next chapter. So this is what's going to happen in the next session. This is like a trailer for what's about to come next week. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions or anything to ask? I hope today's session was okay. I was really embarrassed last time. There was a lot of problem with the internet and I could not do justice to the service. But I hope the flow of internet was good. There was no lag. Any devotee has any question, they can post it in the chat box. Okay, there is a raise of hand by Satyam Nayak. Anyone has any question? You're free to ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class. Pranam. Prabhuji, I just want a little, the initial slokas which you discussed, which is, I think, from the 11th canto.
Okay.
Can you just give us those sloka numbers so that we can read it up?
Yes, Mataji. I'll do one thing. I will put it in the chat box only for everyone.
Yes, please. That would be nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So these are the verses. I put it in the chat box. You can take your time, leisurely study the purports. So I'm assuming there are no more questions. We already short our time. I spoke to Achyut Prabhu. He will be sharing the quiz either today or by tomorrow night. The quiz 5. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Rudrashramad Bhagavatam ki jai.